right. Well, hello. It's another Friday afternoon. Whoop, whoop. I'm Irene De Jesus.
And I'm Hector De Jesus.
And we are the De Jesus Law Group. And this is the Noon Show.
Because it's noon somewhere in the world.
Yes, it is. And so today we're going to be talking about a pretty cool topic on irrevocable trusts and why you might or might not want to do them. But before we get there, just give me a second. I was just introducing the topic.
Off script.
Yeah, off script. Good night. Would you want to do our disclaimer?
Yes, we are attorneys. However, we're not necessarily your attorney, but that can be remedied quickly and pretty easily. But this is informational and educational purposes only.
Yes. Now, are you good? Did we do everything in the order you wanted in?
Box checked.
Box is checked. OCD. Anyway, so what do we got going on? This is May. We're in the middle of the month. What do we got going on? We've got a
Wine and Wills on the 24th.
Yes, and then we've got benefits with bourbon.
Or bourbon with benefits.
Oh yeah, bourbon with benefits. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, these are a couple of different opportunities that if you're getting a little squirrely and you want to get out while you learn, these are opportunities to do some learning while you are physically present somewhere, right? Like you're in a physical space. If that interests you, when we'll have that in the chat box. We will be doing the social distancing. We'll be making sure everything is safe. Seating, of course, at both events is limited because of that. But, you know, if you're one of those folks, you're like, I'm good, I've had my vaccine or whatever it is, and you're ready to get out and you want to socially distance and take precautions, but you want to be out while you're learning, definitely click on those links, get registered. However, if you're, you know what, I'm not ready to get out. I don't want to be out there yet, but I do need to learn about putting a plan in place. And why do I need a plan in place? There's several virtual options. They're available right on our website.
Mm-hmm.
So when our producer, who is amazing, she'll have all of those links. So you've got options. There's things out there for you to get protected, learn what you need to protect your family, and so on. And one of those things we want to talk about today that I want to just jump right into is irrevocable trusts. What is it? And why might I or might not want to do this? So some options, Hector. Say let's talk about a couple of different scenarios. Let's do the first scenario where you're a parent and you've got kids. Okay. I don't know why you're moving your fingers. Are you singing? Are you dancing? What are the fingers about? What am I supposed to know?
I'm doing this.
Yeah, I'm like, what am I supposed to know? Is that a cue?
No, I was thinking probably let's just go over what the two types are.
Yeah. Do you want to do that? All right. So Hector, talk to our audience about the two major types of trusts, revocable and irrevocable.
Yep. So to start a trust, just think of it kind of like a safe. It's something that you're able to put stuff that you own into, and it's protected. That's the general, very simplified version of it. The two types, irrevocable and revocable. Typically, an irrevocable trust and irrevocable are probate avoidance. If you put stuff that you own in there, it'll avoid having to go to probate.
So I think you've got to be careful because I didn't even hear when you said it. When you so you said revocable and irrevocable, right?
Yes.
Okay. So before we even get there,
trusts.
A revocable trust means you, as the person that started the trust, you can do whatever you want with it. You can change it. You can amend it. You can rip it up. You can buy stuff and put it in your trust. You can sell stuff from your trust that's in the name of your trust. You can do whatever you want. A revocable living trust, you're setting this up and you're the beneficiary of it. You're the trustee. A trustee is somebody who manages those assets for the benefit of the beneficiary, which is you, right? You're it, and you're the grantor. You put stuff into the trust. You can also take stuff out of the trust. And like Hector said, the reason you do this, one of the big reasons you do it is to avoid probate. What's probate?
Probate is a court process, which basically, when a person passes, anything they own outright in their own name will have to go through the court system, because someone has to get appointed to pay creditors, basically wind everything up.
Yep. And the only way those assets pass to your heirs or your beneficiaries is by the court substituting your signature for its signature, right? Mm-hmm. So that's how it passes. So that's a revocable living trust, full flexibility, not a lot of asset protection for you as the grantor, as the somebody puts stuff into it. Okay, there's not. The big deal, though, that you get is probate avoidance. However, before we move on to irrevocable trusts that have asset protection, there is asset protection in a revocable trust. When does that happen, Hector?
Well, when you set it up, you would set up a subtrust, which would be, we call it the lifetime asset protection trust.
Yes. So that's for, well, wait a minute. There's even one before that. So if you're a married couple, and you can see we geek out on this stuff, we love it. So if you're a married couple and you own assets and you don't know, well, who knows when we're passing away, right? You don't know when you're passing away. We don't know who's passing away first. And you don't know what the exemption, the estate exemption is going to be, the tax exemption is going to be. There's two times in a revocable living trust where you can take advantage of asset protection and tax saving advantages. And that's when the first spouse passes away. If you do a special trust, and we do those all the time, we're doing them all the time for our clients, where some of those assets are going to be protected for the eventual beneficiaries, which is usually the kids, right? And if you set it up right and you do it right, you can get some really great tax savings, okay, for especially the tax exemption, right? So that's one. And then the second one Hector was talking about, now when both of you pass away with your revocable living trust, and this is the way we've set ours up, is that, well, we've done the first one too, the tax exemption. But the second one is now both of you have passed away. Now, instead of giving money to your kids outright, there's a better way. I think there's a way better way to do it. And do you want to talk to them what a lifetime asset protection trust is?
Yeah. So what you do is you set up a subtrust so that when both spouses or parents are gone, the money goes to the kids in a trust. And what that does is it protects them from, if they're married and get divorced, if they get sued, anything like that.
Creditors.
Because the money, since it doesn't go outright to them, it goes into this trust. There's a trustee that oversees it.
Exactly.
And one of the reasons between a revocable and an irrevocable trust, why one has asset protection, which is the irrevocable trust, and one doesn't, which is the revocable trust, by and large, unless you create these subtrusts. Why you have protection is, if you're not in charge of the money, if you don't have possession control of it, a creditor can't come in.
So there's a legal term that Hector just used. If you don't have possession and control, okay, those are legal terms. So keep going on. Yep.
So by and large, it's a lifetime asset protection trust, or even if you do the marital trust, that we call it. It's not the marital trust.
Don't get too deep in the weeds.
If you do the other trust, where if your first spouse dies and that money goes into a subtrust, that's great for blended families. Because if you have kids and your spouse has kids, if you pass, you want to make sure that, if they don't like your kids, that they're at least money saved aside.
Okay. Hector's getting way too in the dang weeds. You
All
are.
Right.
You're getting way too. So yes, it's a complex subject. However, it's easy to understand when do I need this? I may need this if I have a blended family. Okay. If I've got a blended family, I'm probably going to want to do something like this where I'm protecting, say, at least half of the assets for my kids if I'm in a blended family. Okay. And then another reason you might want to do this type of planning is your estate tax, your estate, the whatever you own, is going to be above this exemption tax rate. And your kids are going to get hit with a 40, 45, 50% tax hit. There's another benefit to do this. So all of that's in a revocable living trust. And you yourself don't get asset protection while you're alive. You don't. Okay, that's such a misnomer with revocable living trust, but it avoids probate and it'll help once you pass away with estate taxes. And you can give your kids asset protection, and it's something they can't do for themselves. Because remember what Hector said, right? You have to be dead in order to get the asset protection, not when you set this up for the kids. That is really, really cool. Of course, you're already passed away by that point, but your kids aren't. It's really neat. Now, what's an irrevocable trust?
An irrevocable trust is a trust, but you basically...
You set it up while you're alive.
Yeah, you set it up while you're alive, but instead of you being the trustee, you're not the trustee. You no longer have...
remember what Hector said, control, right? There's this thing about ownership and control. So when you set up an irrevocable trust, well, the reason you would do it, first of all, let's talk about the reasons. The reason you'd set up an irrevocable trust is because there's two main reasons. One of them is you need asset protection. Okay. Why would you need asset protection, Hector? Give some examples.
Well, I mean,
what about Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a physician, you may want to have some of your assets protected, because it's not a matter of when, if you'll get sued, it's when. You'll get sued. And it's not that you did something right or wrong, but something like that would be a reason to do that.
Exactly. So you've got assets and you need to protect them, right? That's one reason. Another one is you're getting older than us and you're looking like maybe it's early stages. Maybe you just got a diagnosis, you're early onset dementia or early onset Parkinson's, something like that, where the potential for you to need long-term care in a nursing home is probably imminent, right? In the next maybe 5 years or so. And you're going, how can I protect my assets? Because my spouse still needs to live, right? My spouse still needs to take care of his or herself. What do we do? That's another way to set up an irrevocable trust. The only thing is you've got a 5-year window, right? What's that 5-year window?
So if you need to qualify for Medicaid to help pay for long-term care, then there's a 5-year look back. The moment you sign that application or you put pen to that application, you have to go back 5 years.
Yep.
And anything
anything
that you've gifted or...
All right. So we don't want to get too much into the weeds, but just a real quick recap. When it comes to trust, like the way Hector explained it, he thinks of a trust like a safety deposit box, right? It's something you can put your stuff into. Well, why would you put your stuff into it? Well, you might put your stuff into it because you want to avoid probate. Trusts generally will avoid probate. Now there's things you got to do, like there's some administrative things you got to do, but don't worry, we walk you through that. But so trusts in general, there's revocable and there's irrevocable. Revocable means you have full control. You can change it. You can rip it up. You can start all over again, do whatever the heck you want. You can buy assets from the trust. You can sell assets. You can do anything. Okay. With that, that's the pros. that's the pro of. The con is that you really don't get asset protection. You don't get the asset protection until and if you build in on one of your deaths. Okay. When you die, then your part of the trust can become irrevocable. It can help you with estate taxes. It can also help you with making sure your kids get assets when you pass away. And then that second big major one that you can set up in a revocable trust, right, where you have full control, is instead of giving your kids money outright, and God only knows what they'll do with it. I know if I got 10 grand before I went to nursing school, who knows where I'd have ended up, like, honestly. So that second thing you can do with a revocable trust is when both you and your spouse pass away, or if you're not married, but you got kids, you pass away, then your kids, instead of getting money outright, they can get it in a lifetime asset protection trust where it really is asset protected. So it's protected against, like Hector said, divorces, ex-spouses, right? Creditors, lawsuits. They do something stupid, get in a car wreck, it's their fault, right? So that's a revocable trust. The second one is an irrevocable trust. You set this up. The cons. Let's talk about the cons. The cons are you lose control. And you typically, now there's different ones. Okay, there's lots of different hybrids here, but you're typically no longer the beneficiary. Who would be the beneficiary typically, Hector?
Would be the kids.
Yeah, usually it's the kids. There's other really complex ones where it can be your spouse. Your spouse can be the beneficiary. We geek out on this stuff. We love it. But in the irrevocable trust, you can set it up while you're alive. Okay, they're more expensive. They are more expensive to do. The other con is, of course, is that you lose control and you are not the beneficiary. The pros are you get amazing asset protection and you decide who the beneficiaries are. You decide who gets it. So that's pretty cool too. Mm-hmm. I think we probably talked complex law enough. We tried to make it simple. But anyway, you guys, if you've got questions, let us know in the chat box because we'd love to talk about it. Love to answer any questions that you might have on it. It is Friday afternoon. It is a gorgeous day out. And just as a recap, we do have a special going on this month for moms. Mm-hmm. If moms book a planning session with us, because that's what we get into, right? We get into educating and teaching. They can get a pedicure and a manicure on us. Stop it. Who doesn't want that? So that's for busy moms. And then we've got a wine and wills and bourbon May with 24th. Benefits. You'd think we drank the way we have wine and bourbon. We don't, but hey, those are fun things. When we'll have all of those things in the chat box if you are interested in them. And then remember, if you're not ready to get out there and mingle amongst folks, that's okay. We've also got all kinds of training and education options for you as well that you can do in the comfort of your own home. So with that, I think we'll say, oh no, he's getting it there. Oh, your hat. Oh, I love it. Who's that new guy? There's another new guy now that I'm liking. Cubs. Oh, there's some other athletic. Oh, what's his name? Tim Tebow. He's going to be a tight end or something, right?
Boy, that's real controversial right now.
Oh, it is. Oops, sorry. Have a great